Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. I just got done playing Deathloop. I I got the golden ending. I got the other two endings that weren't as good. Or rather, I watched them on YouTube because ain't nobody got time for that shit. But either way, I got the important ending. I finished. It took me approximately, I would say, a total of 15, 16 hours for me to play the game, to finish the game. And granted, that is just because I am generally not as good at the first person stealth games, Dishonored type games compared to other people. I'm kind of bad, but regardless, most of the time in the game is less about you dying, like fighting and dying and fighting and dying and fighting and dying, and it's more about detective work, and that's what Deathloop is at its core. It is a detective game. It is a detective game that is all about, centered around Colt, the primary protagonist, and Juliana, a mysterious woman who's constantly trying to kill his ass. Now, this will be a relatively spoiler-free. If you're watching this on YouTube, there will be some things on the backdrop that I've done my best to scrub free of any potential spoilers. So, but if you're listening on the podcast, there's nothing for you to worry about. You wake up on a beach, and and the game starts. You go have about two or three different loops. And then the tutorial is over, and then you're off to do your little detective work. There are 4 different zones that change depending on the time of day you go to them. Some are locked off at different times of day, and you basically need to leverage the time loop, which is what you're caught in. You're caught in a time loop. The same day repeats, and the only 2 people, technically 3, but that's a secret you gotta find, are the only ones that know that everything that you're in a loop, and that nobody remembers, and only, or four might be it as well. I don't know. Regardless, and that's just because I discovered that after Googling around, and I didn't even see that on my playthrough. So one of the things you got to remember with this game is that there isn't just like the main quest of breaking the loop, and it's not segmented into quests. It's segmented into leads, and these leads are as big as like the major, like kill the visionaries, kind of thing. The 8 people you're supposed to, and it's also segregated into like arsenal leads where you can get some badass weaponry, which makes in early game, all of the different enemies and stuff, like they're a threat. You got to sneak around, you got to be smart, and then with the big weaponry, and like you upgrade and you're able to keep things through loops through certain mechanics that I'm not going to spoil because it's story related. And it basically all kind of comes together into, over time, you will end up, becoming a powerhouse, and the NPCs that gave you pause and issue eventually become cannon fodder, for lack of a better term. And, I have this review up on YouTube as well, and, the video version of it, it took me about, I died at the end of that footage, but, it took me approximately, I'd say about 12 to 16 minutes to kill every single target I need to before you move on to the final stage of the game. And frankly, it is, you're not going to be able to do that out the gate because there are things that you just don't know, and you need to go play detective. It's very similar to the Outer Wilds in that vein. Gunplay is excellent. It's sublime, really. There isn't a overwhelming variety of guns. You have it's less so that, and more just broken down into rarities with traits. So you have your chain gun. You have your large capacity shotgun. You have your small capacity shotgun, which small capacity one has a little more power with less ammo, and the other one's vice versa. You have your SMG-like pistol thingy, and then you have a nail gun that is silent out of the gate, and it's always silent. You have, and then you have your machete, which is your melee weapon. You have a couple other pistols. You have just a 1911 styled one and a revolver with like a lot of oomph but long reload times and things of that nature. Not a lot of like variety in terms of like riflings and stuff, which is a bit of a bummer, but that is what it is. And a lot of variety what comes with like the unique weapons that you get from doing arsenal quests or arsenal leads in this case, which is perfectly fine. It's a unbelievably enjoyable experience tracking some of these weapons down. I only ever really tracked one down, and that was the sniper rifle. I found that to kind of be the most useful in a lot of cases, and for those watching the footage, you can see me using that to kill one of the visionaries, one of the 8 people you're supposed to kill. And it is the shooting mechanics feel very good. In true Dishonored clone fashion, you have your different skills, and these comes in the form of slabs. These slabs are dropped by the different targets. There are about 6 different slabs, or 7, 5. There's a few. I don't think I collected every single slab, unfortunately, which is a bummer, but it is what it is. The ones I got were the one that boosts your physical defense, the one that makes you invisible, the one that allows you to blink, the one that allows you to do a blast that damages enemies, and then the one that I think that was it. I might have missed a couple. And you might be thinking, oh, if it loops every day, what about the slab? Like, why would you want to get the slabs every single time? Well, every time you pick up a slab for a second time, after you've infused the first one, of course, you basically get upgrades for them that augment the skill to do different things. Like, there's 2 shift skills that I wasn't able to retain on a run. I lost them. But that basically allows you to hover in midair temporarily, as well as increases the distance that you can basically blink or shift. And these pair very well with the hacking mechanic, which is you have a little radio that is called the HIMediaTV that basically allows you to hack things that would expose you, turrets, nullifier fields, which are fields that security devices that nullify slabs to basically make it so you can't use any of your powers, including your personal slab. You get to carry 3 slabs, only 2 of which you can slot out. The main slab is when you die, you resurrect, you basically like go back in time just a little bit to where you, like a point where you're safe and you're invisible for a time, and then you can do that twice, and then the third time that happens when you die, and then you can do that twice, and then the third time you're dead for good, and then you time loop back to morning. You can carry 3 weapons and a machete. You always have the machete, and you can. There's a mechanic that allows you to basically have your weapons and trinkets and personal trinkets carry over between things. Now, weapon trinkets are ways that you augment your weapons to do different things, including increasing accuracy, increasing damage, increasing spread, increasing doing special things like leeching ammo, like leeching health, things like gimping, preventing your opponent from healing as quickly, things of that nature. Personal trinkets are ones that make you better at feats. They can increase the amount of power, which is your blue bar that denotes how much of your slabs you can use at any one time, and because the different things drain it. And you have ones that increase your health, ones that increase the speed that you hack, increase the speed that you walk and sneak, makes you undetectable, things of that nature. It seems convoluted, but they actually, because there aren't that many different guns, and they actually put more of the variation into the trinkets, but even then it's not that much. It is all a nice, tight package that feels very, very nice to play, and you kind of are, depending on the mission that you're about to do and what you're planning on doing, you can go to your loadout in between missions and swap out trinkets and guns based off of what you need. Like, for example, in one of the missions, you are going to be around a lot of gas. I will pick up the personal trinket that makes it so gas heals you as opposed to hurts you. And what that ends up doing, at least for me, is that will end up resulting in being able to kind of like have an easier way of like dealing with the boss or healing if I fuck up. Other ones are things that allow you to hack mines and things of that nature. There's a couple places where being able to disarm mines remotely and take them over onto your side is very, very useful. The last piece of equipment I want to talk about is the grenade. And the grenade is really interesting. You get 4 of them every time you enter a mission, and it replenishes every mission. And there's 4 missions in a day. And the grenade is really, really interesting because it has the ability to be a normal grenade, be a proximity grenade, or a trap grenade where you throw it against a wall, it sticks, and it turns into a laser. Very useful for tight and condensed spaces. I have to say, overall, I am thoroughly impressed with the showing of Deathloop. I understand a lot of the criticisms people have of it, especially it being kind of a spiritual successor in a way to the Dishonored franchise. But I think that, like, the story-wise, the gameplay, the mechanics, all very, very excellent, and they did a very good job. Now, there's an entire second mechanic, which is a Dark Souls-esque invasion style, where you play as Juliana, the person who's trying to kill Colt. And Juliana, basically, you play as Juliana, and you go into the Matrix thing, whatever, and you basically, in your other variations of Juliana, going to fight and kill Colt. Which is awesome. You know, it's, I think that it is a really, really awesome mechanic, and Juliana in this mode has she doesn't have the reprise ability, which is the ability to resurrect. She has the Masquerade, which allows her to basically target a random NPC and impersonate them and make herself look like them, so you can kind of get the drop on someone a lot easier. She also can have, I think, one other ability separate from that. Because you're getting the drop on somebody else, you have a little bit less tools to work with. But the mode itself is very fun. Not necessarily something I'm particularly fond with. People are just better than me. The other criticism I have of that mode is that it is notoriously long load times outside of peak hours waiting to find a match. It kind of makes it unsatisfying in that regard. How good of a game is Deathloop? I think if you enjoy Far Cry, if you enjoy Dishonored, those types of games, this is a definite pickup. And I didn't even buy this. I got it through Game Pass. I leveraged a $1 special for Game Pass. This isn't an ad for Game Pass. It isn't sponsored or anything. But because it's a Bethesda game and in Xbox owns Bethesda, you can go play it for a penance. I would give this game a solid out of 10. A solid out of 10, which would, I think, on the AGS, Jimquisition, those types of like very critical YouTubers, I think I would probably give this game a solid, if you like these types of games, a solid 7. If this isn't your cup of tea, a solid 6. It's an above average if you don't like these types of games. It's a good game if you like these types of games. It's not a Dishonored, it's not a Far Cry, but it is a shit ton of fun, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this game. Thank you so much for listening. A big thanks to all my patrons for watching and listening and taking my considerations into account. I love your faces, and I'll see you guys next time.